Well, I can't tell you how excited I am. Today is a very important day, as you all know. Today marks the first start. This is our first starting point right here to a fantasy football championship. You've got to win starting today, and there's really nothing like it when you feel it in the air, man. If you feel that feeling in the air right now, that feels like, you're getting ready to, destroy somebody. That's really what it feels like to me, that's for sure. Because I'm ready to take down some opponents of mine this week. I made the playoffs in every single league that is redraft or dynasty, and I made the playoffs in several best ball leagues as well. I'm ready to take some opponents down this week. Obviously, that starts with reassessing injuries. Obviously, we've got a game tonight. We'll answer, I bet, a bunch of questions about, Isaac Garendo. Got a fly in my face. I'm sure we'll answer a bunch of questions about Isaac Garendo, but there is one in particular that I do want to cover, and that is, with Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, like I said yesterday, has been deemed day-to-day with this injury, and also he is in a situation where he didn't practice yesterday. Now, I don't see a practice report on him today. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Let's see if we can get something here. Yeah, I mean, I can't see anything on Kenneth Walker as of right now. Let's see if we can get a practice report. Yeah, nothing as of today. So I don't know if he practiced or not. I have no idea what the situation is with Kenneth Walker. But I'll tell you this: if you haven't seen it, it just got dropped about an hour ago. My running back rankings video. On that video, I was discussing if in the scenario where Kenneth Walker does not play, then Zach Charbonnet has to be inside my top 10. He is a great play if it's no Kenneth Walker. Now, if Kenneth is there, obviously Zach will have to be outside the top 30 for me. And Kenneth is no better than a top 20 play. Honestly, at the running back position, I would play a lot of guys over Kenneth Walker. So it ultimately depends on, are we going to have Kenneth or are we going to have Zach Charbonnet all by himself? Because if it's Charbonnet, that dude, I'm interested in playing Charbonnet right away. So obviously, like I said, we'll answer questions, probably a lot about Garendo. In fact, the first question we've got here is in regards to Isaac Garendo. So we'll go ahead and just get right into it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel to show your support. Joel, what is going on, man? Salute right back at you. Dude, this fly is going to drive me insane. Start Garendo or Jonathan Taylor, PPR. Yeah, I also discussed this on the running back rankings today, which was that, I have an issue with Garendo and telling people to start him tonight because of the fact that, this guy has a foot sprain. He's got a foot sprain, and all of a sudden he's just going to shed that and play really well. I don't see the world where he is a clear-cut 20 touch guy like he was against the Bears. I don't think that's going to happen. I think tonight we'll probably see a good amount of Patrick Taylor. That's personally what I believe is going to happen. So I do struggle with it, but at the same time, I did say this with Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor has a serious issue right now because of the fact that he's getting goal line work seeded from him, and depending on matchup, he's not the same runner he was before all of his injuries. He's been changed for sure. And Jonathan Taylor is not, averaging, he's averaging 4.3 yards per carry, which isn't technically bad, but, if you look at the past, 2 months for him, 5.3, 3.7, 5.4, 2.4, 3.2, 3.8. 2 games where he averaged more than 4 yards per carry. It's not what we're used to, so I just don't know. I don't have tons of confidence in Jonathan Taylor, and he gets a bad matchup this week versus Denver. I'll personally take the shot on Garendo tonight because I just think that Garendo probably has more upside because of just how, it wouldn't surprise me. It would be stupid, but, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Kyle Shanahan just decides to run him into the ground. It would not surprise me in the least if he does that. Ty Dolla Sign, what's going on? Appreciate it. Ramondre Stevenson or Rachaad White? They're really close. They're very, very close to me. The running back rankings, again, if you haven't seen them, they dropped just about an hour ago or something like that. So go back and watch it after the live stream. But what I did say in regards to Rachaad White is, I ranked him down there kind of because Bucky, I don't expect him to, I left room if Bucky does play. That was part of the reason that Rachaad was down so low. But the other part, realistically, is I don't really particularly see him having tons of upside because I don't think the Chargers is a good matchup. Now, the good thing with it is I do think that they have a better chance of putting up points and staying in their matchup than I believe that the Patriots will stay in it with the Cardinals. The Cardinals are obviously hot and cold. I think they're due for a good performance, and I think that Ramondre gets left with very little upside because every game they get blown out, obviously the running back doesn't have upside. And when you play for a team like the Patriots, your chances of getting blown out increase when you play an opponent like the Arizona Cardinals. So I would personally go ahead and play Rachaad White. If Walker starts, would you play him? Depends. In your case, probably. Yeah, in your case where you're deciding between Ramondre Stevenson and Rachaad White, I probably would. John Bow, what's going on, man? Chris, what's going on? For upside, would you start Deebo or Rachaad? Upside, definitely Rachaad. Deebo has none. Guys, it is over for Deebo. I'm not saying it's over. Like, when I say, I've been talking about it all week, like, I keep saying it's over for Kirk Cousins. And I do mean that. Like, I do mean long-term, not just this year. Like, I mean it when I say it's actually over for Kirk Cousins. I don't mean that necessarily long-term for Deebo Samuel, but I definitely mean this year it's a wrap. Like, Deebo Samuel has not much upside. And it kills me, like, if you played underdog best ball this year, first of all, awesome if you moved on to the playoffs, because, I mean, cutdowns are rough. Only 2 out of 12 teams advanced from the regular season, and I had, several teams that moved on this year with Deebo on them. And now, I'm going through the teams that have advanced, and every time I see Deebo in there, I'm like, I look at all the possible big plays and guys that'll do well in 15, and I'm like, I don't even count Deebo. Deebo's a non-factor to me. I mean, just look at what Deebo has done, man. Since week 6, he has done nothing. 2 double-digit performances, and those were 10-point games in a half PPR format. His upside is non-existent. Rachaad White at least has the upside of, getting the ball out of pass catching, and he has been in the end zone. You got to give it to him. He has had end zone trips. So I just can't see any upside with Deebo at this point, where I do see it with Rachaad White, just based on the way the two are playing. Michael Merowitz, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Start 2, Garendo, Sharp, or Pollard? Judy or Evans? Garendo, Sharp, or Pollard? Yeah, if the way I would handle it personally is I would, regardless of what happens, I'd personally put in Garendo tonight. I'd play Garendo and put him in a running back spot so he doesn't take up your flex. Because it's a Thursday night game, you don't like to do that with your flex. But I also would make it very simple as to say if Kenneth Walker doesn't play, then Charbonnet goes in your lineup. Now, again, I can't get a freaking update on the practice report today with Kenneth Walker, so I have no idea if he practiced today or not. I know he didn't practice yesterday, so there's that. But, I mean, okay, here we go with Schefter. For a second straight day, Kenneth Walker did not practice due to his calf injury. DK was also downgraded to a limited practice today. That's interesting. So, it wouldn't surprise me if we come to Saturday and he doesn't play. Like, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. Now, at the same time, like, it is a Sunday night game, so it is hard to kind of assess that. But, I just don't think that we'll be thinking about it too much because he's a Sunday night game, so if he doesn't practice tomorrow, he's not playing. So I would watch that practice report tomorrow. If he doesn't practice tomorrow, I'd play Charbonnet. If he does get a limited practice, then we'll have to monitor the news up until noon because that's when the Titans are playing. And if we don't have a concrete, answer one way or the other, whether Kenneth is playing or not, then you've got to play Pollard. Judy or Evans, you've got to go with Judy, man. You've got to go with Judy. You simply have to. This guy is red hot. And I was answering questions last night when I was live, and someone pointed out to me that Mike Evans was injured, but I think they'd been doing that. I think he went back. Oh, no. He didn't practice today either. Okay, so never mind what I just said. Yeah, that's a serious issue. Mike Evans has not practiced this week. Hammy injury again. What I had heard is that they've been kind of doing this Wednesday thing where like he's either limited or he doesn't practice on Wednesday. It's kind of more of like a rest day for him. But to see that he did not practice again today, that means something. That means there's serious issues. So yeah, just the way Judy's played and the fact that it doesn't look like Njoku's going to play. Like, Judy's going to get peppered with 12-plus targets. Easily. You've got to go Judy over Evans. Appreciate the super chat. That is how you get your question answered, by sending in a super chat. That is the way you jump the line. Andrew, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Isaac Guerrero or Swift full PPR? Got to go with Guerrero for sure. I just, even though I'm not feeling super hot about playing Guerrero, I feel much better playing Guerrero because I know his upside is there. DeAndre Swift, I pointed this out the last month or so. Like, ever since they fired Shane Waldron, he's actually the only one who's been negatively affected by it. Like, he's actually been the guy who's been negatively affected by Shane Waldron being gone. Shane Waldron got fired before they played the Green Bay Packers, I believe. And he had a 15-point game and a half PPR against the Packers, but ever since then, 8 points, 4 points. Like, his upside is like a low-end RB2, high-end RB3. So, with Guerrero tonight, at least we know that he can, theoretically get 2 touchdowns if they only use him at the goal line or something like that. I would imagine they'll probably still use him at the goal line. So I'll go Guerrero tonight for sure. Appreciate the super chat. Hey, get out of here. Get out. Get out. My dog's trying to get stuff out of the trash. I am. What's going on? Appreciate the super chat. PPR, 1 running back, 1 flex. Guerrero, Hall, Allen, Stevenson, DK, MHJ, Hopkins, or Ridley. Also, who of these players would you drop to pick up one of these tight ends? Schultz, Komet, Johnson, Calcaterra, Smart, or Likely? So 1 running back and 1 flex. Yeah, I'd personally play Guerrero out of those running backs. I just think it makes the most sense as far as upside goes. And the only way I would want to play one of those 2 Jets running backs is if I knew today that Brees wasn't going to play. And I have a feeling he's not going to. He didn't practice again for the 2nd straight day. He hasn't practiced since the build up to week 13. So he hasn't practiced. Dog's giving me a hard time tonight. He hasn't practiced since the build-up to Week 13. I don't think that is a recipe for success for him to be able to play this week. So the only way I would say to play one of the Jets running backs is if we knew today, but we don't. We don't know. So I'd play Garendo personally because I think he's got more upside than Ramondre for sure. And we just don't know about those Jets running back situations. The flex option, DK makes the most sense if he plays, but I just went over this. DK Metcalf was downgraded to a limited practice today with a shoulder injury, I think it was. Shoulder, yeah. It was a shoulder issue. So, yeah, I mean, I just think that DK, if he ends up playing, is a great play. But, if we have a questionable tag with DK going into Sunday night, then I don't want to play him. And that worries me. So, for me personally, I think that it probably is. At that point, I think your safest floor becomes either Breece or Allen, whoever plays. So I would do one of those guys because I think that their upside is, Allen's upside is not super high, but everybody else's floor I think is pretty unstable. I'd go with Allen personally. And who of those players would you drop to pick up one of those tight ends? I don't want to drop any of them, but I'd probably be willing to drop Hopkins since you need a tight end, and I'd probably prefer to get Juwan Johnson. Now, Juwan Johnson, I did read that he is dealing with a foot injury, I think it is. I believe it is. Yeah, foot issue. So he's been limited in practice so far this week, so take that with a grain of salt, I guess, because if Juwan Johnson doesn't play, then I'd probably go ahead and pick up pick up and play Komet to see if I get the upside, or Likely. I'd probably get Komet over Likely because I think Komet's ceiling is higher, and I think they both just have a 0.4 floor. That's just the thing with the tight end market, dude. Anybody on the waiver wire tight end, they've got a low floor. That's personally what I would do, though. The only guy I think I'd be willing to drop out of that list is D-Hop. If I was able to get Juwan Johnson, and, that's kind of the move it seems like you have to make. Appreciate the super chat. Jeremy Black, what is going on? Appreciate the super chat. Half PPR, DJ Moore or Thielen, Najee or Sincere. Yeah, it's honestly, Thielen and DJ Moore is actually a lot harder than people may think, for me personally. Because, DJ Moore, I said this leading into the week. The thing that concerns me with DJ Moore right now is that we don't have a super. I don't personally have a super good feeling about DJ Moore and how that whole thing went down last week. I was kind of wondering if maybe Shane Waldron was the ultimate problem, and I was starting to get convinced, but I just think that there's not much chemistry between him and Caleb. What we've noticed for sure since Waldron was fired was that there's been more of a concerted effort to get DJ Moore the ball. Definitely more of a concerted effort. But last week, even with 8 targets, he does okay, I guess, but definitely goes downhill. With Adam Thielen has resumed a role for them that to me, feels way more bust-proof than DJ Moore. Now, in my opinion, you may have to live with a lower ceiling than DJ Moore, like by 5 points, because DJ Moore can give you a 25-plus point game. If he hits the right number against the Vikings defense, it's a good matchup. Like, it could easily happen, but I think his floor is a lot less stable than Thielen's. Like, Thielen, he's going to get, like, 8 or 9 targets at least, and that will give you a very safe floor because I think he'll probably get close to 80 yards at the floor. DJ doesn't have that floor, I don't think. So I would personally, like, the only time I'm like okay with sacrificing ceiling is if I feel like the ceiling is not super far down with the other player and there's a safer floor. And that's how I feel about Thielen personally. I'd personally play Thielen over DJ myself. Najee or Sincere? I'd go Najee because I think that the one thing that's like been kind of effective with Najee lately is that Najee, over the last like month and a half, like first of all, he's playing like some of the best footballs of his career for sure because of the fact that they have like he's on a contract year. The dude wants a bag of money for sure. But, like, you know, over his last 2 months, he's had one game in single digits. Sincere, I just can't feel the same way about his floor. Even against the Bucs, like, I get it, Najee has a tough matchup here. But I just think that Najee's floor has become really safe. So I'd go with Najee because I think his ceiling is higher as well. Appreciate the super chat. Taylor B, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Taylor B, where are you? Taylor B. Would you start Jennings today? Full PPR. Have Neighbors, Evans, JSN, Higgins. Need 2 wide receiver and 1 flex. Yeah, I think that I think Jennings is a good play for sure. Like, I get it. In some respects, it's like, it's a Thursday night game. Like, we're all obviously going to be watching. It's the start of our fantasy playoffs. Feels a little nerve-wracking to get Juwan Jennings out there just because it's the beginning of the week. But for me personally, like, I'd definitely play Juwan Jennings. Like, Jennings, I've been pointing this out for a long time. Like, I think his target share is like an absurd, like, 27% with the 49ers this year. Like, it's been absurd. Like, obviously there's no Ayuk. Deebo's crumbling before our eyes, and Ricky Pearsall, they can't trust him. It's Juwan Jennings or bust out of the wide receiver group, without question. Tonight, you know, the matchup is not bad against the Rams defense. What's the weather like tonight? I just want to check. Rams 49ers weather. Uh-oh. Crazy weather appears to be in store. Okay, let's see. So it's at Levi Stadium, obviously in San Francisco. So it looks like all they're giving us in this stupid article is some clown over at NFL Network's account sharing a video of his suit jacket rocking back and forth on a tripod due to strong winds. Okay, whatever. I don't care what this mouth breather at NFL Network's experience was. I want the forecast. Give me the forecast. Give me the forecast. Scattered light rain showers are possible, but it doesn't look like a total washout. No total washout. So, yeah, I'm not personally that concerned with it. Like, Jennings, I think, has just become so integral to this offense that The one thing I guess you could look at is that game versus the Bills, where the weather was so bad that it's like the weather was so bad versus the Bills that he ended up having like one of his worst games of the year. But even then, he had like 56 yards receiving. Like, it's just, like I said, it's boom or bust with him. Like, he's a must start to me. Full PPR, I have Neighbors, Evans, JSN, Higgins, need 2, wide receiver, 1 flex. I'd play JSN and T for sure, because JSN and T are just in a situation where JSN's always a must start because he's been hitting, and T, don't worry about it too much. That guy is, I mean, he's averaging 13.8 fantasy points per game. Like, he's up there in like the top 5 as far as fantasy points per game at the wide receiver position goes. Like, he's done fantastic. So definitely those two, and I would say it makes it pretty easy because if Evans doesn't play, which he kind of looks like he's on track to not play, then you've got to play Malik Neighbors. But I will say if Evans plays, I'd play Neighbors. I'd play Evans just because I have no faith in Malik Neighbors with Tommy Cutlets this weekend versus the Ravens. So I guess just kind of watch this one. Appreciate the super chat, Taylor. Kevin Andrade, what is going on? Appreciate the super chat. Questionable Aaron Jones or Garendo. What's Aaron Jones' deal? Let's take a look at Mr. Aaron Jones. Limited with a back. Did he practice yesterday fully? Or was he limited too? Oh, yeah, it's a Monday night game. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem for sure. You've got to take the shot on Garendo, I think. If Aaron Jones was clean, not dealing with an injury, I'd say you could wait for him. But right now, we're dealing with uncertain territory because he's a Monday night game. And Garendo's obviously playing tonight. So you got to go with Garendo, I think, in my opinion. If it could be it's a simple answer because of that. Obviously, if that were not the case, then we'd have to reassess things, and I'd probably tell you to wait on Aaron Jones, but that's just not what we're looking at. Appreciate the super chat. The Jays, what is going on, man? Appreciate the super chat. Jonathan Taylor, Swift, or Garendo at RB2? Oh, man. I'm so funny. I'm like thinking about this, and I started out with like the night with me saying that I don't really want to play Isaac Garendo, but at the same time, like I think I've ended up saying I would play him a bunch. I think he's a solid play, honestly. Like, I really do. A solid play with the options I've been given tonight. That's what I will say. So I'd probably play Garendo because I already said I'd play him over Taylor because I like his upside better, and I like his upside and his floor, frankly, way better than Swift's as well. So for me personally, it's Garendo. But make sure anybody who's starting Isaac Garendo tonight, understand this. Put him in your running back slot, not the flex, because you don't want your flex being clogged up. Because imagine if you have a scenario like one of the other guys asked, which is that you have Aaron Jones, who you'd like to play, but you can't, like, your other running back spot might be clogged up. Well, you could very easily flex him if you don't clog up your flex with a Thursday night option. So make sure to pull Garendo from your flex and put him in your running back slot. Appreciate the super chat. All right. We'll go back up to the top. We'll just go from top to bottom until we get a super chat. That is the way to jump the line. But until then, we'll just go from top to bottom. Tyler Sperry, Walker news? Yeah, the news is there's no practice again today. So, take that how you want to. That probably doesn't send a good signal to me that he's going to play. And if he doesn't play, like I said, on the running back rankings, like I said earlier tonight, I think Zach Charbonnet is an unquestioned must start if there is no Kenneth Walker. Daniel McDonough, what's going on? Zay Flowers, Waddle, MHJ, or Thielen? Pick 2. I would go with Zay and Thielen. Because for me, what that does, it's the perfect combination. Because Thielen is going to give you a really solid floor. Like, I think Thielen's floor is probably like 10 to 12 points, to be honest with you. I think he's got a really high floor. I think he could easily, in a full PPR format, like, I think that's great. So, to me, a guy like Zay brings the upside. Gets the matchup versus the Giants. He's due for a big game for sure. I think that Zay brings the upside portion. So if I can get, Zay on a big week to hit me, 25 points, and maybe Thielen gets like a 20-point game, then I'm getting really big scores from my wide receivers. And at the same time, if Zay busts, then you've got really safe production from Thielen. So that's what I would do. Zay and Thielen for me personally. Saron's Wrath, what's going on? Brendan Avila. What's going on? With no Walker, flex Charbonnet over Chuba. My RBs are Mixon and Chase Brown. PPR format. Oh. I promised myself I wasn't going to bench Chuba again. I guess it's all relative, right? It's rare that you have 4 top 10 running backs on the same team because Charbonnet is a top 10 guy without Kenneth Walker. Now, again, for me, it's an easy way to say this because Charbonnet plays on Sunday night. So, if we don't get an answer by noon on Sunday, whether Kenneth Walker is going to play, then I would say just go ahead and put Chuba in because you don't want to, like, if you get caught with your pants down having Charbonnet in your lineup when Walker plays, like, that's not going to feel good. Like, Chuba is a much better play than Charbonnet if Kenneth is there. If Kenneth isn't there, I would play Charbonnet over him. I would. But that's only the case if Walker does. If Walker is a for sure out tomorrow when the injury report comes out at the end of the week, or if we get a lead up to like Saturday night or Sunday morning early and we know that Kenneth Walker isn't going to play. That's the only way that I would put Charbonnet in over Chuba. Julian Sanchez, what is going on? Appreciate the super chat. Pick 1 wide receiver and 1 flex. Higgins, Devontae, Reed, Thielen, Mooney, Tracy. Also for quarterback, Herbert or Purdy. 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. I'd go Higgins for sure. I just don't worry about it. And I'd go Devontae. Devontae and T makes sense to me. Again, T's got the big upside. Like, if you want a 25-plus point game, you can look to T. Devontae may be able to give you that, but really, I think the intrigue for me with Devontae is his safe floor at this point. Devontae's floor has a really stable baseline because of the fact that just simply because of the fact that he's been getting targeted out the wazoo. The guy since week 9, 11, 13, 7, 12, 11 targets. 1 game without double-digit targets. Like, that's Aaron Rodgers' pacifier right there. He has to throw to him. So, yeah, he's giving me, like, Keenan Allen vibes when he was with Justin Herbert. So, yeah, I mean, you can't bench Devontae right now, in my opinion. Quarterback Herbert or Purdy? Man. Purdy, no doubt, has the most upside because of just, like, how he's played this year. Herbert, I can't rely on him. What's Ladd's status? Ladd McConkey will definitely be a big deal here. Ladd, what is your deal? Are you going to bail on us again? Remains limited. So he was limited yesterday. He was limited today in practice. Sad. I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to commit to Herbert when you've got Purdy up on the docket tonight. Even though the weather stinks, I'm probably going to have to go with Purdy. Just look at last week. Like, Herbert last week. And again, it was versus the Chiefs. That matchup is not good. But he had 13 to 15 points depending on your format. And the week prior against Atlanta, he had 8 points. Like, I really do think that people don't understand how important and how valuable J.K. Dobbins was to this team. I think people may start to get it now, but, I mean, it's unfortunate. It really is. This guy is super valuable to this team. So I'd go ahead and play Purdy because, I mean, 2 games without J.K., I think that's the secret ingredient for Herbert. 8 points and 13.7. Again, depending on your format, maybe it was like 10 points and 15. Either way, low scoring. Brock, I know, could get me 20 to 25. Appreciate the super chat. David Aldape, what is going on? Appreciate the super chat. Mooney, Garendo, or Sharps? I have Chase Brown and Bijan. Great running backs. I feel comfortable doing this. Like, I would sit Garendo because if I get the opportunity to play Charbonnet, I'm jumping all over it. And I feel comfortable playing Mooney as my flex if we don't know if Kenneth is going to go or not. Because doesn't Atlanta, they play on Monday night. So, like, you're going to know in time whether Charbonnet is alone or whether he's with Kenneth Walker. So, I feel comfortable waiting it out with Zach Charbonnet and just sticking Garendo on the bench. Because, again, I've said, like, I started out the live stream, so if you weren't here at the beginning, I did say this. Garendo is a super risky play. It's just that I picked Garendo quite a bit tonight because I don't like the other options as much. This is a situation that it's a perfect example. I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it because Garendo, his floor without, if Charbonnet has no Kenneth, his floor doesn't even match Charbonnet. Charbonnet's floor is like 12 points probably. And I would say his ceiling is in excess of 30. Garendo, there's no way Garendo handles 20 plus opportunities tonight. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if he handled 20 plus. Now, I think he's going to be a good play, but I'd be shocked if he handled that much. I think it's more so going to be based on efficiency, and I think he will get goal line opportunities as well. So that's personally what I would do. I would just sit Garendo and wait on the Charbonnet / Kenneth Walker news, and if you get lucky and Charbonnet is by himself, play Charbonnet, and if he's not by himself, then go ahead and play Mooney. Appreciate the super chat. Quincy Jones, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. PBR, Garendo or wait on Sharp with Tracy as the backup? Yeah, that's the important question is who's your backup option if he doesn't play? I can't. I think Tracy's going to struggle this week, man. I really do. Tracy's problem this week is that he plays the Ravens, and I think they're going to get strangled. I do. Like, I think that the Ravens are going to strangle the Giants. Because, like, the difference between, like, last week when I said that the reason I didn't want to play Chuba or other Panthers is because I thought the Panthers would get strangled by the Eagles. The difference here is that the Panthers are actually a surging team, and they're playing serious football right now. They're actually not a bad culture as of this time. Like, their locker room is not a disgrace. The Giants are a disgrace. Like, they literally have nothing going for them. Nothing. Nothing at all. So, unless they're playing an opponent that's, like, weaker that they could take advantage of, I don't think that playing one of those guys is a good idea. I don't. So I'd personally just go ahead and stick Garendo in there tonight. I don't see a way where we get legitimate upside from Tyrone Tracy this week. I think it's minimal. Appreciate the super chat. Quincy Jones, what is going on? Appreciate the super chat. Purdy, Darnold, or Kyler? ESPN Standard. You know, I actually think Kyler's a really good play this week. I really do. That's a ballsy play. It's going to take some stones for sure because Kyler has obviously been disappointing. More on the disappointing side of the last several games. Even last week, though, in the past 2 weeks, realistically, he has not been bad. But this week he gets New England. Like, that's a great opportunity for him. Now, Darnold, on the other hand, I think Darnold's probably just the safer play, and I think he's just got just as high of a ceiling. So, for me, I'd probably play Darnold. But I will say this, like, Kyler is a strong play this week. Like, if I get other Kyler questions, I'd be shocked if I didn't tell at least a couple people to play Kyler Murray. I think Kyler's actually a really good play. But based on the way Darnold's playing, based on the way the Bears are playing, they're going two opposite directions. Darnold's going up, and the Bears are passing him on the way down. Like, so I got to go Darnold. Appreciate the super chat. Jared Rays, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. I'm in a 3 wide receiver league, and I have Nico, Puka, and Juwan, but also have Judy on the bench. What do you think I should do? Well, can you put him in a flex? I mean, do you not have a flex? Just 3 wide receiver league, no flex? Because if you had a flex, I'd make sure to put him in. Depending on who you had, I guess. If you have like a Chase Brown, maybe I wouldn't put him in. But if you have a Garendo, I'd move some things around so I can get Jerry Jeudy in the flex. Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement. I don't want to bench Jeudy either. In fact, I think I might play him over Jennings. And I'll tell you the reason why. Is because in your situation here, you have 2 wide receivers tonight. You have Puka and you have Juwan Jennings. Now, as I said earlier, this weather tonight looks like it could be a little dicey. You have no flex. So let me explain to you why I'm going to put Jeudy over Jennings. Because in this game, the weather looks a little dicey. Looks like it might rain for a little bit. It looks like the wind is going to be whipping. And we know the last time that Brock Purdy played in bad weather, he was horrific against the Bills. So let's say that both of these wide receivers bust because it becomes a run-dominant game. It could very easily happen. Football's unpredictable, man, especially when you get weather in December. Like, things can happen that are not in your favor. So I think if it was me personally, I'd want to relieve myself of the stress of having 2 wide receivers tonight. Because if this weather makes this one a dogfight, which I personally do think this could be a dogfight, and less wide receiver less wide receiver upside, I'd rather play Puka because I'm so certain of his quarterback and so certain of his upside. I'm less certain of Jennings. I'd play Jeudy over Jennings in your particular situation. Appreciate the super chat. Woolly Mammoth, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Start 2, Knicks, Darnold, and Daniels. Yeah, I think personally for me that they're all fantastic options, obviously. I mean, Bo's been playing out of his mind. Darnold's playing out of his mind, and Jaden is playing great football too. I mean, you've got great options here. Jaden gets New Orleans after the bye, which I don't mind personally. Like, that doesn't feel like as tough of a matchup as it comes off. I think I'd play Jaden. Jaden is one of them, and I think to offset playing 2 rookies, I'd play Darnold. Because I like Darnold's matchup quite a bit. So I'd play Darnold and I'd play Daniels. They're all great options, though. Appreciate the super chat. James Cahill, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Baker or Goff? So I've been wrestling with Baker Mayfield all week. I have Baker in a dynasty league, and I've been like doing a should I not game in my own head of of if I'm gonna play Baker Mayfield. And I gotta tell you, I am not settled on where I sit right now. They're back and forth. I can tell you where I ranked them, but you're gonna like hear me actively kind of walk through this one with you. So for me personally, Goff is ahead of Baker in my rankings. But what I will say is that Goff, I don't think presents the level of upside that Baker does. I think Baker's upside this week is really good because the guy can easily run in a touchdown, and I do think that they're going to struggle with putting up points, and that's the ultimate reason why I prefer Goff over Baker. I think I really do. I think I do prefer Goff over Baker when it comes down to it, because Goff, like this matchup versus Buffalo, it's at home in Detroit, no weather issues. Detroit, it could very easily be a shootout. And even though he's got a lower floor than Baker, I think that this matchup I just prefer better. And just kind of the way Baker's been playing over the last couple weeks, I think that he may be experiencing some issues with his upside in particular. So it doesn't feel as good to me personally to play Baker. I'd go with Goff. Appreciate the super chat. Adrian Hernandez, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Matt Stafford or Kyler? Back to a Kyler question, and I'm going Kyler, man. I think Kyler's a great play this week. I really do. Stafford's fine, but Stafford is not my favorite this week because obviously we know, like, his floor has actually been pretty solid lately. But at the same time, like, San Francisco, I've been saying this all week, I think it's going to be a dogfight. And this weather's no good. So, Stafford, in the Rams, they may very, very, very easily become a run-first operation tonight, much to the chagrin of Sean McVay, who's definitely a pass-first coach. But point being, I think that Kyler, like, just because of the way he's been playing, people are overlooking him. Kyler this week gets the Patriots, and even his last 2 weeks have been pretty good. I think he's gonna have a great week this week. I think he's gonna spike. I'm going Kyler. Appreciate the super chat. All right, we're coming up on the game here, so trying to get as many questions done as I can in the meantime. Jeremy Cody, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Pacheco versus Garendo. I think the gap is wide enough. I'd go Garendo. I still don't trust Pacheco to have real upside because I just don't I don't see the explosion with him particularly yet. To tell you the truth, and I hate to say this, because I'm usually all gung-ho about upside, I think I think Pacheco's breakout week will be on my bench. I just haven't seen it with him yet. Watching him for 2 straight weeks, I have not seen the explosion, and I don't know if we're going to get it back. So, unfortunately, this usually goes against the grain for me, but I think his best week will be on my bench. So I'm going to play Garendo tonight. I think the gap is just wide enough to where I'd take the shot on Garendo. Appreciate the super chat. All right, we're going to go back up to the top until we get a super chat, which, of course, gets your question answered right away. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. I am so excited for the fantasy playoffs, and if you are too, like the video, subscribe. Sarin Swath, what's going on? Man, I lost the GOAT, Cybert. Now I've been rolling with Bass. Lutz, Tucker, Reichard are all available. Worth getting them over Bass? I'd say both Lutz and Reichard are easily worth getting him over Bass. Bass, to me, is not top 12 this week. If you haven't seen the top 12 kickers on the week, go back and watch it after this video. To me, either one of those guys is better. The way I would say it is like in the kicker video. I'll let you go watch the kicker video. Go watch that kicker video after this, Soren Swath. Both Lutz and Reichar are inside my top 6, but I'll let you get the reasons why you should pick one or the other over at that video. All right, I think it froze up a little bit here. I did freeze up. Brandman, what is going on? Appreciate the super chat. Sit 1. Kyron, Monty, Jacobs, or Achan? Good problems, man. Good problems to have. No way I'm sitting Jacobs. No way I'm sitting Achan. And honestly, just like the way that I think this Rams matchup is going to go, again, this weather factors into it, but all week, regardless of weather, I've been saying I think this is going to be a dogfight. And I do think that Kyron will have a bunch of opportunities. So I can't sit Kyron, even if that means sitting my love, David Montgomery, because I do love him very much. He's a great running back. But your situation here, man, it just you can't be upset about sitting any of them because you've got great options. So I'm gonna have to sit Monty because I think his upside is the least of the bunch. Appreciate the super chat. Adrian Hernandez, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Flex, Deebo, Adam Thielen, DJ Moore. Thielen for me. Thielen. Deebo's irrelevant. He's out. Like, I'm not messing with Deebo anymore. I'm done with him. I am done with Deebo Samuel. And Thielen and DJ, like I said, I think that personally for me, I guess the better way, I should have said this earlier to the first person who asked me, Adam Thielen or DJ Moore, is that if you want a big ceiling play, I think DJ Moore fits the billing more than Thielen does. But if you want a safer floor play, Thielen definitely has a safer floor. And I'll also add this because I'm playing Thielen myself if I'm in that situation 9 times out of 10 because of the fact that Thielen's ceiling I don't think is tremendously lower. He gets the Cowboys this week. He's been getting basically 100 yards per game since he came back. Like, Thielen makes a lot of sense this week. He makes a lot of sense. Great matchup, and his importance is awesome. Appreciate the super chat. Big Chonger, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Got Broncos Colts defense. Should I get Chargers? First round bye. It's interesting. I'm actually tomorrow going to be coming out with a Week 16 defense rankings. Because it was requested earlier this week on the defense rankings that I make one in advance for teams on a bye. So how does that sound, everybody? Do you like that idea? I was planning on doing, because I was asked, a Week 16 defense ranking video tomorrow. So obviously there's going to be a Week 16 defense ranking video update next week. But as of right now, just for people who want to pick a defense up off the waiver wire, I think it's going to be beneficial. So, yeah, I think that the Broncos, like, I don't want to, the Broncos, they do have a tough stretch coming up, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Broncos after this week have the Chargers and the Bengals. The Colts. Colts have Tennessee. Honestly, I think I'd hold. Because, I don't want to drop the Colts. If I was fine dropping the Colts, I would say go get the Chargers. But to me, the Colts honestly could be a pretty good play. They really could be. So I'm going to stick with your defense because, essentially if you drop the Broncos for the Chargers, it's neutral and possibly a net negative because the Broncos defense has been better. So I'd stick with what you got. Appreciate the super chat. Ty Dollar Sign, what's going on? Appreciate the super chat. Where are ya? Dollar Sign. Where's your question? I can't find it. Please, if you could, put your question down below in the chat. that would be very appreciated because I can't seem to find it. So if you could put that question down there, and I'll give you a minute to put the question in. And then Robert Giddle, let's see if I can find your question while I'm waiting. Wide receiver Nico, Jennings, and Brown. BTJ, RB, Bijan, Connor, Garendo. 2 running back and 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. Nico goes in for sure. I'm assuming that's AJ Brown. That's the Brown you're talking about. And honestly, I'd play Jennings. Hang in there, guys. All right. I'd personally play Jennings over AJ Brown if that's who you're talking about. I'd do that for sure. So I'd go Jennings and Nico, a wide receiver. Running back, I would go Bijan and Connor. And I'll just go ahead and flex AJ Brown. I don't think that the gap is wide enough for me to want to play Garendo tonight. So I'll flex AJ Brown. Appreciate the super chat. Ty $, I still haven't seen a question from you. And I can't find you anywhere, so I might just have to move on. But you can still put it down there and I'll still answer it for sure. Just can't see your question. Okay, there you are. Sutton, Ridley, Ramondre Stevenson, Neighbors, Josh Downs, start 3. Sutton's got to go in. He has to. Sutton simply has to go in. Sutton's got to go in your lineup for sure. And Downs, what's his story this week? So he was full participant. He plays the Broncos. I don't particularly love that matchup. Although I don't hate it. I'd play Downs over Neighbors. And I'd play him over Stevenson. So yeah, I'd go Sutton, I'd go Downs, and I would go Ridley. Combination of safe floor and high upside, I think, is what you get with those guys. Appreciate the super chat. All right, we're going to end it off on Rock Out because we're coming up on game time. Rock Out, appreciate the super chat. Hey, take it easy, dude. You want to say hi to everybody? You want to say hi? You want to say hi to everybody? Yeah? Yeah? Take it easy. Take it easy, nut job. Rock Out, appreciate the super chat. Pick 2, Brian Thomas Jr., Devonta Smith, Deebo, Pacheco, PPR. I would go Brian Thomas Jr. and Pacheco, personally. I think Pacheco could get in the end zone because it's the Browns. I don't love Devonta Smith versus the Steelers. I don't like Deebo. He's out for me, and I think that Brian Thomas Jr. has more upside. Appreciate the super chat. We're going to end it off there for the night. Let's enjoy Thursday Night Football tonight. Like the video, subscribe to the channel on your way out, and I'll see you guys tonight for the recap of Thursday Night Football. Can't wait. Fantasy playoffs are now, guys. Let's go. See y'all tonight. Say bye to him, buddy.